Patronum!
There's nothing like escaping to Hogwarts and indulging in all that the wizarding world has to offer. But how would the Harry Potter films look if we stripped away the magic? Would Voldemort still be as threatening? Would wand duels look as epic? It's time to find out.
Wow, look at it! The new Nimbus 2000!
Quidditch. It's a huge part of Harry, Hogwarts, and literally the entire world of magic. It's actually one of the first parts of the wizarding world we get to see come to life. But without a green screen, Quidditch and broom flying isn't all it's cut out to be. To bring the magic to life, the actors would sit on an actual broom that was attached to a rig. The rig was pre-programmed with the movements to make it look like the actors were fighting a dragon or catching a golden snitch.
Quidditch is great! Best game there is, and you'll be great too.
The final showdown between Voldemort and Harry had to be epic. It's what the entire series was leading up to after all. However, a lot of movie magic was needed to bring out the real magic. The Hogwarts grounds in the background, the magic shooting out of their wands, Voldemort disintegrating into nothingness. We can watch that scene over and over. But let's check out what that scene looks like without CGI and a green screen. Basically, two actors pointing wooden sticks at each other. Not that Daniel Radcliffe and Ralph Fiennes aren't amazing actors, though. Also, how weird is it to see Voldemort with a nose?
You've been taught how to duel, I presume, yes? First, we bow to each other.
Speaking of the Dark Lord and his nose, Voldemort's soulless appearance was also thanks to the help of something magical. It's called VFX. They use these effects to not only edit Ralph's entire face, including his snake-like nose, but to also get the Voldemort we see at the beginning of the Deathly Hallows. Remember, him soaring above the sky trying to figure out which of the 7 Harrys was the real one?
Harry Potter is dead.
Who else thinks that The Goblet of Fire is the most magical movie of them all? From the Quidditch World Cup to the Yule Ball, there was nothing quite like the magical vibes that came with the Golden Trio's 4th year at Hogwarts, including the Triwizard Tournament.
Hogwarts has been chosen to host a legendary event.
In Harry's first task, he has to maneuver around a dragon and snatch up the golden egg. But without the help of CGI, the scene is almost magicless. The dragons are actually computer-generated based on a scan of a model dragon. And we already know how they brought the broom flying to life.
Who wants me to open it? Yeah! Do you want me to open it?
Harry's second task is even more lethal than the first and surprisingly more magical. Daniel Radcliffe did take a deep dive for this scene, so we really are seeing him swimming. And the gills he grows thanks to Neville's gillyweed are also visible thanks to prosthetics. However, everything else is completely missing without the help of computers. The Great Lake was actually a water tank with a blue screen, and the Grindylows? They were all added in later on. Daniel was just given instruction on where he should turn and react so it could look magical later on.
There aren't merpeople in the Black Lake, are there?
The third and final task is tragic, but still very supernatural. We see Harry's first face-off with Voldemort in his actual form. Their magic collides, and in an epic finale, Harry gets to see his past loved ones one more time as their ghosts help him to escape back to the safety of Hogwarts.
We can linger for a moment to give you some time, but only a moment, do you understand?
However, if you take a look at this video, you'll see just how different this scene would look without its magic. Even the maze wasn't actually there. Who doesn't wish they could have a Dobby of their own? Where would Harry be without the house elf? And even though Kreacher is a bit more standoffish, he does help out Harry in the 7th film. But we're sad to say that house elves, unfortunately, aren't real.
Who are you?
Dobby, sir. Dobby the house elf.
In fact, during the filming of their scenes, Dobby and Kreacher are actually just actors in gray motion suits. Check out how bizarre these scenes look before the final cut. They would also have models of the elves on set for reference.
Dobby saw Kreacher in Diagon Alley, which Dobby thought was curious.
The 7th film started off with a bang, 7 of them to be exact. But just how would the scene with 7 Harrys look if we broke it down? Well, for starters, there weren't actually 7 Daniel Radcliffes. Instead, Dan filmed each of the Harrys' parts separately in front of a green screen. Then they were all added in using effects later on, including the morphing of his face. The crew claims that this was one of the trickiest scenes to make magical, just because of how closely they had to pay attention in order for everything to work out perfectly.
We did also, I have to say, break the record for the most number of takes ever done.
If there's one thing Harry Potter is known for, it's their moving images. You see them throughout the movies in places like books, newspapers, and in the photos that line the walls of Hogwarts. They even have personalities.
No, wait! What's this?
But they're not real. Sorry to pop your magical bubble, but they're actually not even regular photos. Blue screens were put in as a substitute for where the pictures would go, and the GIF-like videos were added on by editors after the filming was complete. Harry and Buckbeak. A match made in heaven. Okay, maybe that was taking it a little too far, but Harry did help save his life. We finally have some good news for you. Buckbeak was technically on set. He existed, but he was mechanical. They had to make 3 different Buckbeaks so they could get him performing different movements properly. Then the CGI team would step in and make him super lifelike. They had to create and edit every single feather on Buckbeak. Buckbeak now lives in the Harry Potter Museum. Take a look at this fan's video.
Say hello to Buckbeak.
We get quite a few different scenes with the Room of Requirement. And let's face it, it's probably one of the coolest things at Hogwarts. There was one scene in the room specifically that really stands out. It happens in the 8th and final film while Harry is on the search for Ravenclaw's diadem. Of course, Draco and his minions had to have one last go at Harry, and in turn, the room ends up full of flames, and we get to see Harry on his broom for a final time. But if we strip this scene down, it's a whole lot of green screen with the actors strapped into harnesses.
I'll set the bloody place on fire!
If you watched Fantastic Beasts, you know that Nagini has a backstory of her own. She's not just Voldemort's pet and Horcrux, which means it was only right they give her some epic magical scenes in Harry Potter. But all the credit for that really goes to the visual effects team. During filming, Nagini wasn't there, which probably made the actor's job a little more difficult when they were meant to be interacting or looking at her. Nevertheless, they managed to pull it off, perfectly we might add, and gave us some epic Nagini scenes.
Nagini. Dinner.
Goblins are one of the first creatures from the wizarding world that we meet alongside Harry in his first year. But there's one goblin that plays an extra special role in bringing down Voldemort, even if he does betray Harry, Ron, and Hermione. It's Griphook. Like Dobby and Kreacher, there was a prosthetic model made of Griphook, but they also covered Warwick Davis in prosthetics in order to bring the mythical creature to our screens.
I don't look right. I'm too good looking.
The 3 dangerous tasks weren't the only magical things that surrounded the Triwizard tournament. The Triwizard Cup itself took a lot of work to become magical. On set of the film, the actors were surrounding a pretty ordinary trophy. There were no blue flames or age line that prevented the Weasley twins from dropping in their names. And during the choosing ceremony, the cup didn't actually spit out the paper with Harry's name on it in a dramatic fury of flames. That was all added in after filming.
I don't know.
The Whomping Willow was pretty unforgiving to Harry and friends during their time at Hogwarts. With its relentless branches, it definitely took them on a ride, and watching how they made the tree come to life is another ride altogether. Of course, a lot of it was green screen, but they actually had a fake branch that actors like Emma Watson would hop on to imitate the movements. The behind the scenes of this might not look magical, but it sure does look cool. So, Potterheads, what do you think? Seeing these side-by-side comparisons definitely shocked us. Did taking the magic away from these scenes make them any less epic? What moment were you most shocked to see stripped down? Come chat with us in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things The Things. Thanks for watching!